Hey, what's up, guys? John here. The White House and the Treasury just locked in on landlords, and things are about to change in America to the likes of which we've never seen before. And they have set guidelines, set deadlines. From now until 2025, things are going to get unreal. I'm going to show you what they're saying on their own websites, showing you on treasury.gov, showing you on the whitehouse.gov, showing you what the game plan is going to look like. But before I do that, I want to show you what's happening in New York and LA so you can get a clear idea as to how this whole thing ties in, how it all works out. If you're an investor, you want to be, pay attention to this. In the last couple of years, everyone wanted to invest in real estate. Everyone was making a fortune, house flipping, buying rentals. Everyone was crushing it, and it was great. But the next couple of years, I think, is going to be a lot different. I think the next couple of years, we're going to see a lot of people leave the business. I think we're going to see a lot of opportunity in the real estate market for smart and savvy investors and entrepreneurs. Let's see what's happening, and they're hedging this risk in on their investments. Please hit the like button. When you hit the like button, YouTube's going to share this content to educate more people about what's actually going on in the economy and the real estate market. If you want to fix your credit, we'd love to help you at my company, greatcreditfast.com. That's greatcreditfast.com. If you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, you have a situation or problem on your credit report, get a hold of us. Click the link in the description below this video. Schedule a free strategy session at greatcreditfast.com. Take a look at this. So, all inside is part of All In, the federal strategic plan to prevent and end homelessness, which is set a bold goal to reduce homelessness 25% by 2025, 25% by 2025, and ultimately build a country where every person has a safe and affordable home. Well, affordable means cheap. Well, how can one have a cheap, affordable place to live if insurance and property taxes and maintenance costs and everything else is going up? Well, it's not going to be possible unless the rules are going to change. And that's exactly what they plan to do. Do steep changes to the rules. And they have really big targets they want to hit. 25% by 2025 is such a big number, such a huge number. They're not going to be able to build these homes, so they're going to be going after these property owners. Look at what's happening, for example, in New York City right now. It's shocking. Preparing for the worst, landlords brace for rent law expansion. So this landlord, Leon Goldberg, right, he has 2,500 units, and before everything was in a file cabinet. For 10 years, he would keep it in a file cabinet before throwing it away. Then he put everything into the cloud, and he doesn't have everything that he probably needs. And a lot of landlords are in that same boat. How many people are keeping documents from 15, 20 years ago on a tenant? Not many. Well, that's what's going to be required to prove that the landlord did not commit fraud by increasing rent beyond what they deem as acceptable. So tenants are going to be able to present their case to the courts and say, I'm paying too much rent, my landlord's overcharging me. And then it's up to the landlord to prove their case. But if they don't have records and they can't do it, then they could be subject to harsh penalties. This is all throughout New York. That's what they're pushing forward on right now. And so it's really shocking. I mean, this is even for rent-stabilized apartments. If they were to buy buildings and a tenant were to relocate and they fixed up the property, they spent money fixing the property up, then they re-rented it at market rate, that landlord now has to prove that it was properly deregulated. And if they can't prove it, they're in really, really big trouble. Right? They're talking massive fines. And at the same exact time, Local Law 97 is going into place in New York City. In New York City, this Local Law 97 means all property owners are going to have to start to bring up their buildings to code. As long as they fit inside a certain guideline, they're going to have to bring up their properties to code. Now, this is a lot of units. You're talking $200 million in prospective fines just starting January 1, 2024, $900 million in fines by 2030. So very large fines. Just for context, Local Law 97 upgrade costs. Just quick little Google search. Consultants hired by the buildings, which total 33,860 apartments, estimate the bill staggering $2.6 billion in overall cost. Nearly $77,000 per unit, including financing for the upgrades to avoid fines under Local Law 97. The cost is so high that leading supporter of the emission cap literally did not believe it. Literally didn't believe it. And the crazy thing is, even if you had the 77 grand, it only gets you to 2024 standards. You have to continue to meet newer standards. And so it's just going to be more and more cost added in. So when you're looking at it, landlords are just getting hit in which direction in New York City. And I've been talking about that for a while, saying landlords in New York are really going to wake up to a nightmare coming very, very soon. It's not just New York City. I mean, look at what's happening right now in Los Angeles. Now, a lot of people are going to jump to the conclusion and say, John, it's New York, it's LA, it's San Francisco. these areas are notoriously hard and really challenging for landlords, and I agree. But what I'm going to show you on whitehouse.gov and treasury.gov, what I'm going to show you is it's very clear. This is national. This is going to be a national thing. So new rent hike limits are coming for LA and OC renters. Here's how to fight an illegal increase. Very similar to what's happening in New York City, right? Saying an illegal increase. Imagine if we could say a legal increase on our food costs, our utility bills, or on our clothing, on all these other things that have jumped 20, 30, 40%, saying that's an illegal increase. But they're saying this against landlords, property owners, when in fact, many of these property owners, they're mom and pops. They bought this property, insurance went up 30%. Who are they going to push the cost onto? The tenant. Same exact with all the business owners, right? They push the cost onto the person buying the product. So they're limiting their ability to increase their prices. They're limiting their ability to push their cost on, which is going to push a lot of landlords out of the business as insurance rates continue to likely increase and mortgage rates stay higher for longer. It's going to be a big, big problem. So Southeast LA, now they enact rent control. Before they didn't have rent control, and now it's continuing to expand, right? And so look at whitehouse.gov. So whitehouse.gov, Blueprint for Renters Bill of Rights, it lists a set of guidelines, which I'm going to match with Treasury, right here, treasury.gov. I'm going to show you this. So here it says the fifth principle is eviction prevention, diversion and relief, the right to organize, essentially go on strike. And they also get access to education, enforcement, enhancement of rights, even legal rights. They get free legal representation. It really arms tenants to really go to war, and it doesn't expose them to any type of risk or loss by doing so, whereas the landlord would have to come out of pocket to defend themselves in court. Look at what they're saying here. So right here, it says that they need a system of housing stability and eviction diversion services. Effective tenant engagement can help tenants connect to and evaluate these services, avoiding eviction and remaining stably housed. The same exact thing. It's right here, eviction prevention, diversion, and relief. Same exact thing. That's on whitehouse.gov, is on treasury.gov. As one example of how Treasury is modeling this approach to tenant engagement, the department's leadership has been hosting quarterly virtual tenant roundtable events to highlight the impact of the ERA on tenants' housing stability. These roundtables invite ERA grantees, relevant community-based organizations, and tenants from a variety of jurisdictions to discuss how the local ERA program changed the way their community distributes rental assistance and other supporting services to vulnerable households. Over the course of the program, these roundtables have provided invaluable insights from ERA beneficiaries, innovative eviction prevention and housing stability strategies, effective outreach efforts, and the role of intentional engagement of key community stakeholders. And so they list everything, how they're going to do this. And just for context, hit the back button just so you can see, search Renters Bill of Rights, White House. And this is right here. This came out 4 days ago. 4 days ago. So this is what is going to be happening here. We're going to start to see this more and more and more. This big push from now until 2025, things are going to just get much, much harder for landlords. And it's going to be interesting to witness from the sidelines, because I'm not going to be investing right now. I'm not going to buy multifamily. I'm not going to buy rental properties probably for the next 6 to 12 to 18 months. I want to see some pain in this market before I go out there and buy. A lot of people are buying real estate deals at a 4 cap, at a 5 cap, based on a 7.5% interest rate, and this big storm ahead. There's going to be a lot of distress in this market. There's going to be a lot of motivated sellers. That's a time when you want to sit on a mountain of cash. That's a time when you want to be able to get financing. It's a time when you want to have all the information to make a smart and calculated decision based on what's actually happening. When what we're looking at right now is $1 trillion in commercial loans, commercial real estate loans that needs to get refinanced in the next 12 months. And in the next 2.5 years, we have 1 in 10 properties in America has to get refinanced. 1 in 10. It's going to be a bloodbath. And as this is happening, what are we going to see? We're going to see a whole conversation of the old capitalist way of the world wasn't practical, wasn't sustainable. We need to find a fair and just way to where everyone can win, because look at the pain that this former way of capitalism, look what this has done to the American people. And that's going to be the new conversation. We need to find a better way to where everyone can be equal. That's what's going to happen. That conversation will be had. Smart and savvy investors know it. They see the writing on the wall. I mean, they go to whitehouse.gov. They look at treasury.gov. They start to connect these dots. They saw the eviction moratorium 3 years in Los Angeles. It just passed. I think it just expired in San Francisco like 2 weeks ago. I mean, coming up on 3.5 years, you're seeing this big trend, this big change. You have to be prepared for this. We're not going back to 2017, not going back to 2018, 2019. We're walking into the new normal. We're here. And this is going to change real estate investing forever. Smart and savvy investors are going to make a fortune based on what's actually happening, whereas most other people are going to ignore reality, ignore these facts, and ignore this conversation, ignore what's happened the last 3 years, and they're going to lose their shirts. But again, if you're watching this video, you're probably making smart, calculated decisions. You see what's going on, and you're going to make a lot of money because of it. Drop your comments below. Let's have a conversation about this. If you want to fix your credit, to position yourself for finance, maybe you want to buy a triplex or a fourplex, get out of renting and buy your first deal, and you're looking for that right opportunity, you're going to need great credit. We'd love to help you at my company, greatcreditfast.com. That's greatcreditfast.com. You want a credit score 750 and above. That's where you want to be. We'd love to help you at greatcreditfast.com. Add me on IG, and I'll catch you in the next video.